11-C07 at the Town Council Chambers, April 6th at 7:30 p.m. First item on the agenda is the opening prayer from Pastor Phil Adkins. Are you here, Pastor?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everybody, please turn off their cell phones. No, at this moment. For the evening effect. Go ahead, Pastor.
Thank you for having me. I'd like to read just 2 verses of Scripture for the council, for our community. Who then is the man or the community that fears the Lord? He will instruct them in the way chosen for them. He will spend his days in prosperity, and his descendants will inherit the earth. I, as long as the council, our community, wish great prosperity upon us. And I will pray the Lord's blessing upon us as we endeavor that way. Let's pray. Thank you, our God, for giving us this place to live, this home called Strathmore. I pray your wisdom upon the council tonight in our community as we gather. May we fear you and have good policy that honors your name and gives respect to all people. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. Also like to note for everybody here, first off, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. 2 councillors are missing. One is very sick, and the other one is attending to an urgent family matter. So just exactly what's happening. Also, it's Councillor Rocky's birthday, and he is not 72 as much as you may think that. He is somewhere much younger. We're not going to sing him happy birthday, but on behalf of everybody, happy birthday, Councillor Rocky. Before we get into you folks, we have 2 public hearings that we have to attend to, and also some other we have to attend to our auditor's report before we can get to you folks. So we have to go to the public hearing first, and the first item, first public hearing is call to order the first public hearing. Bylaw number -11-09. The purpose of the bylaw number 11-09 is to amend land use bylaw number 89-20, section 9, general definitions, in section 110A1 R1N residential narrow lot single detached district by deleting 2 provisions related to comprehensively planned communities, which will no longer require applicants to develop an area structure plan, ASP, and if they wish to utilize this land use classifications. I would like to ask any confirmation of notices to administration.
This bylaw was advertised on the town's website as well as the March 25th and April 1st, 2011 editions of the Strathmore Times.
Thank you. Report from the development officer.
Your worship, councillors. This bylaw is to amend sections 9 and 110A of the town's land use bylaw number 89-20. Currently, the only way land may be redesignated to this district is having undertaken the area structure plan approval process first. No other district requires an approved area structure plan prior to consideration of redesignation. With these amendments, there will no longer be this requirement for an approved area structure plan, which on its own can be a lengthy and costly process. Section 9 is being amended due to the recommendation to remove the initial step of the area structure plan, so a comprehensively planned community is no longer applicable, and the amendment to section 110A.1 is to provide a general overview of the district itself, and again, remove the reference to comprehensively planned community. This amendment will streamline the process and open up this district to any development in town, which assists with the decreasing urban sprawl and comes closer to achieving the residential densities noted in the Calgary Metropolitan Plan that the town has agreed to. Also, there is a proposed amendment to this bylaw that is in your package that council may consider, and this is to remove section 110, subsection 4, subsection A, because it refers to phases of development, which is more of a provision that should be in an area structure plan, not a land use bylaw. And due to our recommendation of removing the requirement of an area structure plan, this subsection is no longer required. This will also amend subsection 4 by renumbering all the other remaining sections. Only 3 agencies responded to our notification letter, EPCOR, Alberta Health, and Wheatland County, and neither of them had any issues with the bylaw.
Thank you. Are there any other written submissions?
No, there were not any, Your Worship.
And there are no persons wishing to be heard that notified us?
That's correct. Nobody requested.
Thank you. Any questions from council? If not, I would entertain a motion that this public hearing be adjourned.
I'll make that motion. The public hearing be adjourned.
Y'all heard the motion. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Second public hearing is the purpose of the public hearing is number 11-10 is to amend the land use bylaw number 89-20, section 17, authority and responsibility of the subdivision officer. And are there any confirmations of this notices?
This bylaw was advertised on the town's website as well as in the March 25th and April 1st, 2011 editions of the Strathmore Times.
Thank you. And report from the development officer. Thank you, Tammy.
This bylaw is to amend section 17 of the town's land use bylaw number 80-20. The proposed amendment was requested by senior management, not the affected department. Part of the rationale behind this proposed bylaw is to allow the subdivision officer, currently the director, to review and approve a wider range of subdivisions without having to go to council. The level of complexity should be the driving force behind the requirement of another layer of review, but as the section is written, this is not the case. For example, the subdivision officer may approve a 60-lot residential subdivision if an area structure plan has been approved for the affected area. However, the subdivision officer cannot approve a 2-lot industrial or commercial subdivision if no concept, outline, or area structure plan has been approved for the area. The latter obviously is much more of a simpler subdivision and cannot be approved by the subdivision officer, but the more complex 60-lot subdivision can be, even though the plan may be a little bit dated for that affected area as well. In other cases, it will be the responsibility of the CAO to determine whether the subdivision officer has the ability, capability, and competency to approve subdivisions beyond this 10-lot threshold. If no area structure plan has been approved for the affected area, therefore there is still some oversight for the subdivision officer. So it would not be just exclusively the subdivision officer that would be able to approve it. The CAO would make that call. It should be noted that this proposal helps reduce the approval timeline because for most subdivisions, the subdivision officer must provide a decision within 60 days from receipt of a completed application, unless an extension is agreed upon. This timeline is a requirement under the provincial regulation AR 43/2002. It is standard practice to produce a report for any item that comes before council and provides a rationale as to why planning and development staff have come to their recommendation. As a result, having a provision that notes a report must be submitted to council for subdivisions that come before council is redundant. Thus, the proposal for the change in that provision. Staff has also implemented a policy to circulate all subdivisions to council members for their information, as well as provide a listing of all applications that the department has processed within a month. So you will see that in the next monthly report. Only 3 agencies responded, or actually, sorry, 2 agencies responded to our notification letter, EPCOR and Wheatland County, and neither agency had any concerns with the bylaw.
Other than those agencies, are there no other written submissions or requests to be heard?
Your Worship, there were none.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Yes, sir. I just want to be clear. The notice to council about future subdivisions will be made on a monthly basis from now on?
All the subdivisions that we receive will be circulated to council. The ones that we have processed and made a decision on for that month will be part of your monthly report.
Thank you. No other questions? If not, motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I would so move.
Motion by Councilor Best. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Sammy? Now I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting and the adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
I just have one, could be put under number 11, questions between the council and administration, if there are communities in bloom in regards to benches and bird forest.
Thank you. Nothing else on Councilor Rocky?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Nothing, Your Worship.
Thank you. I would like administration.
Yes, Your Worship, can we move item 5B up to item 5A?
Yes. No objections, anybody?
No.
Thank you. If not, we're going to the
Your Worship, I would move to adopt the agenda as amended.
all in favor? Carried. For a March 16th to 11 committee of the whole meeting, number 11-W04.
I move the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting 11-W06.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried.
And Your Worship, I would move the March 16th, 2011 regular council meeting 11-C06 to be approved.
Worship, I just have one question in regards to those minutes, and they're found on page 14 of the agenda, and it has to do with the way Councillor Best's comments were noted in regards to his opposition to the motion that was put forth, and this isn't I think it's just the way it's written. It states here that he is opposed to this, and that over 300 people at a public hearing were also opposed, which certainly gives me the impression that there was a public hearing in regards to this matter, and I know for a fact that there wasn't. So I'm just wondering if this could have been this could be reworded, or I guess my question would be to Councillor Best if that was your intent in how that should be worded.
Where about side, sir?
Page 14, this is in regards to future development,
All right.
and it'll be line 12 of that paragraph, 12 and 13.
Yeah. And what was your question? I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering if that was the intent in your comments. I just don't believe that this was recorded pursuant to what your intent was. But maybe you could clarify that.
I believe what I was talking about, there was a meeting that was held in 2005, 2004, and yes, that's exactly what I meant to say.
Yes. This sort of indicates that there was a public hearing on this matter, and there was not. I just
It was in regards to
that you were talking
developing
about
the
an
wetlands.
earlier public meeting on another.
It was, yes, there was a public meeting, as I said, in 2004 in regards to developing the wetlands.
So I wonder if the minutes could reflect that, please, Your Worship.
I have no objection to that. I think they should be.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Make note of that. Was that motion, was that added to it, right? Was that correction?
I think the motion to make the correction has to be voted on first.
Motion for correction to that, and you want to make that motion?
Yes. Move that the words at a public hearing held in 2004 or 2005.
All in favor of that? Carried. Now the regular motion. And I can't remember who made it. Councilor Best. All in favor? Carried. Okay, just for the note that we have to move up the auditors because they have to leave, folks, tonight, and we don't want to be paid by the hour, so we're moving them ahead of you. And no disrespect to you guys, I just have what has to be done. And then I have to sign some documents with them tonight. So we have to have about a 5 or 3 minute recess between them and you folks. Sorry for the delay, but that's just the way it happened just tonight. And I hope it doesn't frustrate anybody, because there was no intention of doing that. So we would go to 5B, the auditor's report from Darren Adamson, our new auditor. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. What I want to propose to do is just do a brief overview of the audited financial statements. They're in draft form, and assuming that they're going to be all in good order, then we'll be able to approve them. And we'll get them signed and sent to the province in good shape well before the deadline. So just I'd like to just bring one thing to your attention as a reminder that the accounting rules did change quite significantly last year. And the big thing that changes for municipal accounting is that capital asset purchases are no longer expensed when you buy them. Instead, they're amortized over the expected useful life of the asset. But the grant funding that you get to fund those assets is still recorded in revenue the year that you spend it. So what happens now is there's usually big surpluses shown on your financial statements anytime you have significant capital assets. Over the last 2 years, you've had $65–70 billion of capital additions, and that will largely reflect as a surplus because those assets will be expensed in future years. So just so you're aware that there's going to be a big surplus shown, and that's the reason for it. If we flip to page 1, is our auditor's report. The auditor's report does say that the statements themselves are the responsibility of management of the town office. Our responsibility as auditors is to do our audit and to provide an audit opinion as to whether or not they're fairly stated. Our opinion is that yes, these financial statements do fairly present the results of operations of the town of Strathmore for the year. There's also a management report that goes into a little bit further detail of management's responsibility with respect to the financial statements. That's on page 2. Then we get into the actual statements themselves, and we have the consolidated statement of financial position. So these are the assets and liabilities, the surplus as of December 31st, 2010, with comparison for of 2009. Financial assets, very comparable to the prior year at about $23 million. From that, we deduct out liabilities of about $22 million. I'm just rounding it to the nearest whole number here, which leaves a net financial assets number of a positive about $1 million. And that compares to the previous years a little under $3 million. The reason it's down is because you've invested that money into your tangible capital assets, so into your infrastructure. So we have about $1 million of net financial assets. To that we add in your non-financial assets, approximately $163 million. Again, that's your tangible capital assets, your road, streets, and sewer works, and water works, and all that stuff. That's about $163 million. We add that in, and you have a total accumulated surplus of about $164 million. Of that amount, though, approximately $150 million has been spent. The money's already gone, but you still have the assets. So you have about, on the $164 million, there's about $15 million that's available for future spending. Page 4 is the statement of operations, and it shows that you had total revenues this year of about $18.2 million. Of that, about $8.7 was from property taxes. And that's up a little bit from last year. One of the reasons it's up is because of the annexation of the land, which increased the tax base. Expenses totaled about $17.4 million compared to about $17 million last year, so very comparable on a year-to-year basis. So that leaves the excess of revenue over expenses before we add in the capital revenues of a little under $1 million, so $897,000 surplus for the year. To that, we add in the government grants for capital projects, which is a little over $10.4 million, and we add in contributed assets from the annexation of the land from the county of about $2.1 million. So that brings the total excess of revenue over expenses to about $13.4 million. But remember, really, the operating surplus is more of the $897,000. So that brings total accumulated surplus to the end of the year of 164 million. The next page is the statement of change in net financial assets. So this is a summary of the changes, but basically, as I mentioned, you started the year at about so you had an excess of revenue over expenses for the year of about 13.4 million. You spent some money on your non-financial assets, and that reduced your net financial assets by a little under $1 million. So it's invested in your tangible capital assets. Page 6 is the statement of cash flow. Shows where the account generated its cash for the year and where it was spent. So the subtotals, the first subtotal shows that the cash flows from operating activities generated about $13.5 million. Included in that is the capital grants of about $12.6 million. So that's the biggest portion of the cash inflows. We invested about $17.7 million in the capital assets, and you funded that partly through debt for about $5 million, and partly from your existing investments of about $3.5 million. The cash position at the end of the year, a little over $6.7 million. The remainder of the pages is the notes to the financial statements, which gives you more information, the details of significant account balances, the accounting policies, and the schedule of tangible capital assets. So for today, we just kind of wanted a high-level overview, and I think what I thought were the highlights in it, so that's more just my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? If not, I would request that we have a motion to accept the auditor's report as presented.
I make that motion to accept the auditor's report as presented.
Thank you. And I would just like to comment for the benefit of the public. We have gone through this several times. We're just not accepting this lately. We have done this with several meetings prior to this, so the public knows this. That's just not done in this 10 minutes. It's several meetings where we have all been involved in. You all heard the motion. Any comments? Not. All in favor? Carried. Do you need a motion for me to sign the letter to, or?
Your Worship, I would move that we have a 5-minute adjournment.
Do you need a motion to sign? No? Okay. Y'all heard the motion? In favor? Carried. I do have to sign this book, and he's got to leave tonight, so. And he's from Lethbridge. Motion go back to the
Make that motion, Your Honor.
all in favor? Carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry we couldn't seat you all, but it's a large contingent. I'm sorry. Many people, hello? As many people come up front as possible. If you can't hear us, get our attention somehow. But anyway, I apologize for that. I just want to say, folks, that first off, there isn't one of us councillors, and I mean this from the bottom of our heart, that does not want irrigation. We do want it. It's a matter of figuring out where and how we can get this money. That really is the bottom line. Now, there's a lot of suggestions out there, and it's much appreciated. but we have to figure out where this money is coming from and what kind of dollars we're going to spend. There's various amounts of figures from your side and our side, and it's not you against us. We want to work with you. There's no you against us. We truly do think that irrigation is a fantastic way for it to go. And in our 100-year centennial, it's just a great idea. I mean, we want to continue with it, but where do we get the dollars? Anybody that's going to speak tonight, I ask that let's not be repetitious. We all heard we've got many papers on what the benefits are, what it can do for us. The bottom line is this: it's dollars and cents. And if you can help us out on that, and how to figure out how to do that, that's where we're coming from. We have, there's different sides of the argument. All I ask is that we speak with each other, with respect to each other, and come with some sort of answer for us. Now, we're not going to make a decision tonight. It was decided a long time ago that we would make a decision after the 15th of April, but we are allowing you to give your speech tonight from various people. And I think first on the agenda is Christine Mitzner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think anybody's hearing anybody very well tonight, so I'll use my loud outside voice.
Okay.
I'm really concerned about the costs that everybody's scared are going to happen. I went back and I thought it is.
Just a minute, Christine. Did you want to use the mic up here?
Yes, that's good. Yeah, I can do that.
And remember, we are time constrained here tonight, so to be as quick as possible and get to the point, and because I'm giving you we gotta go on. It's 15 minutes, okay?
Okay. All right. I'll be about 5 minutes, maybe not. I just haven't seen any actual figures that would warrant $200,000 for 1 year's expenses. I looked, and for 02 it was $76,000. For 03 it was $84,000. For 04 it was $108,000. For 05 it was $79,000. Those are town figures. And for 2008, which was the latest one that the accountant had, for 2009 the only thing he had was $4,339, which when I checked out it was for the farmland assessment that the town owns, and I have a copy of their assessment from the WIG here. So that shouldn't have been on there. It was on there the year before. And the year before was the conveyancing fee, which $6,600 it's been on. Advertising, a pump repair. Well, that pump repair was for the one in the town lake. They had lowered the level, forgot to turn the pump off, and it burnt out. And the allocated costs from the main contract, $157,758 coming from EPCOR. Absolutely no breakdown whatsoever. So I don't know. And the net revenue they had is $15,900. If you take 648 people at $33.60, which it was, it's over 20,000. So I'm just a little bit worried about the town's accuracy and what's happened there. And I haven't seen anything else from the town that would indicate that it's going to cost. I've heard it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it running. Well, I would like to see if it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have copies of that, Mrs. Mister?
Pardon?
Do we have copies of your information?
My submission is I can give you a copy.
If you want to drop them off tomorrow, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Your Worship, I just would like to ask one question.
Yeah.
Where did this figure come from that it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to operate this?
I believe it was in the paper.
Well, I would.
I can look
I'd just
that
like to clarify that because I've never heard that figure before.
Okay. What have you heard?
To do what? I mean, I've heard figures on how much it would be to replace the system.
Have you heard
and
how
there's
much
into
it
the
costs?
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
But those are into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, the estimate for running the broken system that we have was my understanding to be about the same as it's historically been, which is approximately 100,000. That was the number I was.
Okay. Well, if that's what all it's going to be, I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you, Christine. Mr. Madeline Scott, please.
I'm not mad.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that. You're in place of Bob?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob
Yeah, sure. Yep.
I'll try and be brief. Basically, first thing I want to do is just give you a little bit of background, not much. In 2000, the system was outsourced to EPCOR. Pardon?
Is the mic on, Bob?
Can you hear it?
Can you guys hear it? Is it on?
Where's the other one?
It's on, it's just not
Not on now?
No.
I think you might have talked right into it.
Okay.
You grab it, take it out of there.
I guess I can just. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Just some background on this. In 2000, the system was outsourced to EPCOR along with the potable water system and the sewage system. There was some rationale for those two systems, but basically the irrigation system is more or less just offloaded to get rid of a problem. Now, what happened here is there was no particular accounting for the irrigation system. It's not specified in the contract as a separate item. And as a result, the town did not do any serious monitoring or auditing of this. And those of you that have the sheets that we've handed out tonight can actually read that in there where those statements are made by the town administration, which really means that there are no reliable figures for costs because EPCOR didn't give you itemized bills or anything like this, and it was up to the town to put them wherever they felt like it. So there are no sustainable costs, and anybody who says that they know what they are isn't telling the truth. Okay, now, the upshot of this is, I say, there's no reliable information on the status of the system or on the cost. We do know, however, the system's not in very good shape. We're not kidding on that. Now, in 2002, there was a decision made to basically abandon the system when the regional water line from Calgary was here. And as soon as it was here, we got the ultimatum last year to put up 500 people at $180. I mean, that was pretty thinly veiled idea to say, let's close it down and blame the taxpayers, the irrigation users. Also, when you knew you were going to be abandoning the system, nobody was going to be worried about putting a lot of money into repairs. So the system has certainly gone downhill because you weren't going to do much to fix something when you were going to get rid of it anyway. Okay, now that's history. And we're not going to worry about that. We just want to know the status of things as they stand now. We're not going to point fingers. Okay, what we have done is develop a plan to how to go forward. And basically, we're talking about a sustainable system that is user paid, which should answer the question that you have just finished asking, how are you going to get the money? Now, in this one, it's a sustainable system where we start with the first year as an assessment year to find out where we are and how much it's going to cost. We don't want to rush into something when we haven't got a clue where we are. The last guy that did that was probably Custer, and he regretted it. Well, maybe not the last guy, because I think we've had a couple more cases. There was the effluent to the Bow River, and there was the hauling the waste to Coronation. But aside from those, we want to assess the system, first of all, find out what's going on. To do this, we're not planning on major upgrades. Some things should be upgraded to make them more suitable to the users. Because we've had an awful lot of people who've dropped off because they were dissatisfied with the quality of the service. And we're not going to get them back until we prove to them that we can run a decent service. And our two main improvements that we want would be screening of the water and convenient hours, which we have suggested are from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. on a daily basis. Those are the two main ones. Then look at what we have to do to start upgrading the system. And it means in the first year, we don't want to get to the top of the pricing window. Now, the pricing window is where we have to get our costs to be comparative with an alternative. So the bottom end, we have to cover the cost. We know that, and it has to be done by users. The people who are not served by the system would not be required to pay anything for this, other than as taxpayers in terms of the parks. The upper end of the pricing window, the most we can charge is basically what the alternative product is, which is potable water. Now, what we want to do in that assessment year is keep the price as low as possible, because we know the following year we're going to have to make these improvements and the fees are going to have to go up. Now, our estimate of how much they're going to go up, if we were to amortize $500,000 for improvements over 15 years at 4%, you'd be looking at a cost increase per user of between $50 and $75, depending on the number of users. So we try to keep our costs down, and if we could do it under our costing estimates, which we think are very realistic. In fact, a lot of these are based on historical ones that the town has actually provided. And we think we can keep it down to $50 in the assessment year. That would be made up of $25 service fee and a $25 usage fee. And that would allow us then the following year to up that by anywhere from $50 to $75 and still keep within the pricing window. Now, obviously there's some disagreement between the town and the committee as to what are the costs in a sustainable year. We don't have the figure from the town, so we have no idea. The town has never presented these to us. The only thing we've really got from the town is you want 500 users at $100 each. And we don't know why you chose that or whatever, but we haven't been able to get anything from the town. We've met repeatedly, and we still don't have anything. We have presented all our figures to the town. They are well aware of them, and they haven't particularly criticized them, but yet we know that the councillors are hearing some pretty big figures, and they're really worried about this, understandably so. But this is more or less just fear-mongering, because we don't know where these things are coming from. And we can't counter what we don't even see. But we would go one step further and say we're willing to put up a contingency fee of $50. Now, we think that's in addition to what the expenses will be. And what we're suggesting is if you're right and we're wrong, and there is a major cost overrun, this would cover it. And so that would actually bring the total fee, if it was used, up to $100, which should ring a bell. Because that's exactly what the town is proposing. Now, what we're saying is if it isn't necessary, we don't want you to use a contingency fee. But the following year, we know the price is going to go up. We're not denying that. And we are trying to make this sustainable. So this is basically what we're proposing. You've got all the figures. We've given you the handout. We've got recommendations. The one thing I'd like to point out about these recommendations is these should be considered as a whole, because what we're trying to do is structure a system of incentives which will make this thing work. In other words, it will maximize the number of users, because that lowers the cost for the town and for the residents that are using it. Now, there are two things that I should mention. One is in the ultimatum of this year, where the fee has been dropped to $100. We think this is an inappropriate technique, which is designed basically to make it as inconvenient for people as possible in hopes that they won't show up. But basically in the past, when you were a user on the system, you were a user on the system until you dropped off. You didn't have to go up and re-sign every year. But we don't think that should be necessary now. We think that you tell them what the fees are, and those people that aren't willing to pay them should contact you to drop off. So as far as we're concerned at the moment, we have 627 users, and we don't require them to come out. You set the fees. That $100, you didn't say what it was for. Was there any upgrading involved? What were the hours? Anything like this. It's just $100 and buy a pig and a poke. In fact, in this case, all you buy is a meeting. So that's the first thing, is we really do believe that the onus should be on the people to drop off rather than actually have to come out and sign up when there's a couple of feet of snow on the ground. Okay, the other one is, you know what our proposal is. I say we have a difficulty trying to figure out what the town's proposal is. And there are all sorts of figures floating around. Now, some of these, we are sure, are ones that are actually capital costs. And what your auditors just mentioned is on capital costs, they should be amortized over something as at least 15 years and turned into an operating cost that way. And if you do that, the figures aren't nearly so daunting. But we can understand, council, if you don't know what those figures are, exactly as I say, you want to be cautious. Because it's only on Star Trek where people should go boldly where nobody has gone before. Everybody else should show a little bit more caution. And that's why we think the assessment year is absolutely vital. And we think we've got a very affordable one, and we think everything has been well researched, and we'd be happy to defend it, but we have to know what you're talking about. And thank you very much for your time.
And thank you. Any questions? Councillor Beth.
Your Worship, just a couple of things. The first one is I'm serving my third term on this council. And I want it to be known that never, not once, has council decided to abandon irrigation. Not once.
Okay, now just remember, your third term didn't start until after 2002.
The other thing is to fix it up over 1 year.
It didn't say that.
Well, to put a Band-Aid on heart surgery is not a proper and good thing to do. It's not fiscally responsible, and it's not prudent. I do, however...
Can I respond to that one first? Okay. We're talking about an assessment year first. The next one is fixing it, and we're not saying the fixing has to be spaced over a long period of time. You can do the upgrading all at once if you want, and amortize the cost over a period of time. Nobody says it has to be spaced out. By doing it over 15 years, you pay for it over 15 years.
I do, however, somewhat agree with you as far as that it should be the onus of people to tell us that they don't want it, rather than us telling them to pay them. That they should be able to drop off at their own. The other thing is I'm speaking up against what you've just said. However, it's also well known that since I've been on council that I've been a proponent of irrigation.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's very clear that we're all proponents of irrigation, the concept of irrigation, but once again, this, as far as my mandate, I was elected to be fiscally responsible, and I have to, if I'm going to support a system that is going to cost taxpayers money,
what part about user pay didn't you understand?
Well, just bear with me. What's the $61,000 then, Mr. Carver?
Okay,
the
that
authorization.
Yes, that's to provide
the users.
That is yes.
Okay. And that's in addition to the $78,000 per year.
No, that's included in it because we put the amortized amount into it.
Okay. I was curious when I was reading that too. You're opening, and for anyone who doesn't know, I'm sure everyone does know, Mr. Carver's the chair of the committee, and quite seriously, Bob, I know how much work you've done on this, and it is very appreciated. And I'll get to that point in just 1 second because there's one other statement and comment I want to make on that. But in regard to the costs, your opening statement on that is, since it's not appropriate for RI users to take an ownership position in a public service, was that ever contemplated at all by the committee? Certainly,
yes, it was. Yes, we looked at a couple other possibilities: a co-op system or a private system. And the problem with it was we didn't think it was going to be feasible after it's been bad-mouthed so much, and people talk about a broken system that's barely operable. Trying to get somebody to step up to the plate and want to take that over after what people have been saying about it, we think the chances are extremely slim. But if you are offering, that's...
Well, I'll tell you what, I bear in mind, this has nothing to do with council. This is my own personal position on this. If a co-op was to come and ask to take over the RI system, I would certainly support selling the whole shebang for $1. But I have also
Provided they
believed
operate.
on how broken this system is. I believe that. I believe that when it was placed in, so many 40 years ago, it was put in haphazardly. I think to replace it, I think it's going to require a lot of construction, a lot of digging. And when they throw around a figure of $100 a meter, which seems really high, and it may be a little high, I don't think, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's that far off the mark. Be pretty close.
This is the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't gone out and worked on the system. This pipe's underground.
Well,
You really don't know what you're dealing with until there's a problem.
There's some of this pipe that is missing sections.
Yes.
And it's just running through from one to the other without a section of pipe even being there.
This is basically anecdotal evidence that shouldn't be generalized to say this represents the system. Everybody can always find things like this. You can always find a few exceptions, and then to try and say, well, these prove the rule is ridiculous.
Well, it's not a fallacy that downtown in Westmount got an incredible amount of water poured out when the system was on. Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, is that 09 or 10?
2010.
It's leaking there really bad.
Yeah, and it could be fixed. If you have a leak, you could have a lot of water. I've seen sewer lines or town potable water lines, when they leak, hey, you've got a lot of water. But it doesn't mean it can't be fixed, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's proportional to the amount of water.
Can you give me an idea? Okay, suppose that we go ahead and turn it all on, okay? And we're caught in the system where, and I'm not trying to give the worst scenario, but there's a good possibility that there could be 20 breaks, 30 breaks. Can one break? I doubt if there's only one break, but there'd be in the high range many breaks. And then some areas we cannot even turn it on because it's been drilled through and so on and so forth. And I know that for a fact. And you can blame whoever, and what happened in the past is past. We can't change that now. Where do we stop as council and say, okay, the next April 16th we're turning on, boys, direct administration to do it, and there is all of a sudden a horrendous cost. We're going to look pretty silly.
Well, I disagree that it's going to be that abnormal. And if you look at the answers we got to the questions when we asked the administration, which Jesse answered, he didn't think it was going to be that abnormal. And that's written down in paper which you people have received copies of.
Councilor Best?
So the system was so bad in 09 that we ended up giving the money back to the people who had put their money to get usage of it. That's how bad this system is.
Well, there can be a variety of reasons for that.
Well, we're not trying to sound super negative, but we got to think of all these things that we're told by administration.
What I'm telling you is and this is exactly what Jesse said in his answer, until you turn the system on, you don't know.
But if you do,
and otherwise it's just a big bluff, it's intimidation. Don't turn it on because you're not going to like it, so that you don't turn it on. What a way to stop somebody.
But, Your Worship, that's not true, because we did turn it on, and we had to pay everybody back. It didn't work. It didn't work in 09. Why do you think we did that? We didn't do it because we wanted to be jerks about it. We did it because it wasn't working. We couldn't afford it. It was two reasons. We could afford to do it, and also...
This is the system that you were planning on shutting down the next year.
No.
You just got a head start.
No. Yeah. That is just not...
Is there documentation to that statement?
Yes,
For neither one. Neither his nor mine.
Is there a motion by council that anybody recalls that we want to shut the system down at any time?
Yes, there is.
There
I
is?
don't have it here today, but I do have it.
Could you drop it off tomorrow, Christine? Okay, thank you. Councilor Larkin?
Your Worship, Bob, I agree residential irrigation is a luxury in Strathmore. But, as we all know, luxuries come with a price attached. I'm reading from a document here dated November 1st, 2010. I don't have it in front of me, but the RI system needs substantial overhaul. You had a 50% user at that time. There was 90 repairs done in 130 days, which resulted in one being done every 2 days. Another document dated April 7th, 2010. The recommendation stated it does not make financial sense to maintain and operate this system. It's outdated, broken, will not be cost efficient,
Please, folks, one at a time.
and it has done its time.
Okay, could I ask you to look at
Just a
this?
sec here, Bob.
Okay.
I'm getting to the point where I really believe we're throwing good money after bad money. So why don't we all channel the community's ideas and everybody else's? Instead of fooling around with this thing that's beyond repair, why don't we sit down and build a new system over time? That would make a lot more sense than trying to play with this thing.
What I'm telling you is, you don't know that. And that's a fact. For example, there's a statement in there that they had repairs about once every 2 days. And so the system was shut down. There's 4 zones.
That was the same year everybody got refunded.
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
Councillor Best was referring to that.
But the thing is, there were 4 zones. If you've got a leak, they say they shut down the entire system. These zones aren't interconnected. Why would you shut down 4 zones when there's a leak in 1? Something's not right here. And it's our money that we're talking about.
Now, it's going to be more money we're talking about if we keep throwing more money into this.
Hey, the people that want it seem to be willing to pay for it. They have a lot more confidence in this than some other people. You make it sound like it's coming out of your pocket. No, it's not.
For many years it was, sir. For many years.
That was largely a myth that has been, yeah.
A myth?
Yes, it's no. Yes, it is.
RI was
Hey, wait a minute. Who
Okay,
else
just a
uses-
minute now, one at a time, and we're not
Who
going to
else
start again.
uses the RI system? The town parks, which never paid for it. What you were getting is you were paying for the RI system based on the amount of park space that you were using and calling it a subsidy. Furthermore, there was a time when the potable water system had reached its capacity and you wanted to keep people using irrigation so that they wouldn't put a big pressure on the potable water system. So at that time you were subsidizing it a little bit. Now remember, the rate was $33.60. We're talking about a system that we think we can run for $50. There wasn't a whole lot of subsidy going on.
Mr.
This
Garber,
was a myth.
Mr. Garber, we believe you. We're not disputing that. We got
You
it.
don't believe me, but that's okay.
No, we do. I mean, you got your points and we got ours. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, it's being new on council, and I fully support the RI initiative and whatnot. But at this point in time, I think we can go around the mulberry bush here for quite a while, and I'd like to hear from the other people if they have other comments as well.
Could I, just before we do it, could I make one suggestion?
Yes.
Sure.
I think what this needs is a real proper airing with the facts on the table. Not a 15-minute hearing, which is probably being extended, but unsubstantiated figures. And we're hearing anecdotal evidence as if it's generally applicable and things like this. Why not have a real proper hearing and we get all the evidence out there and everybody's proposal detailed on the table?
Thank you. There are no other further questions of Mr. Carver.
Thanks.
If there's none, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
And we have to move on here. Thank you.
Your worship, councillors, your worship, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. In summary, the 2010 Residential Irrigation Committee was given a mandate to gather information, to discuss potential options, and to make recommendations regarding the future of residential irrigation in Strathmore.
Could we get your name, please?
Pardon me?
Could I get your name, please?
It's Madeline Scott.
Okay.
The committee has met weekly or more since August 4th, 2010. We've kept detailed minutes of the meeting. Our chairman is Christine Mitzner, and Bob is our secretary. We have had several meetings with councillors and administration. We've provided interim reports to council, which have included a budget and proposed fee structuring, and has held a public meeting for user input in February of 2011. The committee concludes that as Strathmore has a distinct advantage in having access to the WID canal, that it continue and improve the residential irrigation system to make wise and efficient use of potable water and to use the less expensive untreated water for outdoor purposes. And we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. We are going over time. Is there anything that hasn't been said yet by anybody? Mr. Wilden? And you got a couple of minutes, please.
I'll be quick. My name is John Wilden. Thank you very much, Council and Honorable Mayor. I've been a member of this committee since its inception. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I just have a few quick questions that we can have addressed here. There's several parks that are being watered with potable water, and that's at a cost that everybody's juggling around figures. So we estimate somewhere around $60,000 or higher. So we're using potable water to water our parks, where we should be using irrigation water. Second of all, we were mandated by council through administration to come up with as many feasible ideas as possible. It's been a long, arduous task. They will agree. Last year, an ultimatum came up for $180, and we had a limited amount of time to put that money up. Now, before the committee has an opportunity to bring to council the final proposal, in our water bill, administration has put in the ultimatum of $100 for this year's system. They're kind of jumping the gun. So has administration been directed by council to put this in for the $100 ultimatum, or have they done it on their own?
It was directed by council, yeah, indirectly, yeah.
So what was the purpose of us having this committee for this entire length of time if we're going to be putting in an ultimatum of $100?
The only reason for the $100 was to show the sincerity, if we could get enough people to put up their money to show the sincerity that that you really want the system. We got 500 people. I mean, that was basically a number. I mean, in order to make the whole thing operate.
I agree with Councillor Bassett and the committee itself. It makes more sense to have people, if they want out of it, to call in and have a disconnect at a fee. So that way, we don't have to have people call in and say, I want it. Because we're a snowbird community. A lot of people from here, they go down to the States and whatever to avoid our winters. Another thing that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention is the hydrovac system that's been kind of crammed down the committee's throat. We've done everything humanly possible to accommodate administration with their numbers, and we were forced to implement the hydrovac system onto our list. We've adamantly said we do not need it. Since the inception of this irrigation system, we've had 18, 19-year-old guys out there, a pickup truck and 2 shovels. Where the water comes up, it's right by the surface anyway. It's not like they're going to be digging into fiber optic lines or gas lines. It's common sense. You hire good people, right? We're not having idiots out there doing this. It's surface level, 24 inches maximum. So we don't need the hydrovac system. So there's $60,000 or $70,000 right there that we can cut out of this. So the other thing, it's not really been beaten to death yet. I just can't fathom. On one hand, the system is dilapidated, but we have no hard facts to say this area is worse than others. We have no hard information, and we've attempted to get hard facts on numbers, money, electricity, everything throughout this, and it's been like pulling fingernails. And it's no fault of anyone's. We don't want to point blame at anyone. But we have you guys, as council, very respected members of our community, you have no hard figures in front of you. When they say that it costs $100 a meter, well, who said that? Not specifically one individual, but show me some hard evidence that it can be tendered out and that it's going to cost that amount of money by this company. We don't know that. We don't know what it's going to cost. There's other things too. There's several places in Strathmore that are using potable water that are not being charged for potable water. So couldn't we be charging, for example, the Ag Society for their potable water and their sewer? And that money could be going into this? Because Ag Society is not being charged for potable water or their sewage. And granted, they barely get by, they draw a lot to our community, and God love them. But everybody has to pay. With the amount of water that's going into the sewage treatment plant right now and our current investigation into it being over budget, that's a lot of money that could be allocated directly back so it's lessened on the taxpayers. One last thing. If I myself was to go out and haphazardly dig a hole in the backyard and cut a hole through the irrigation that's in the alley, It's at the onus of the administration whether to charge me to repair it or I repair it myself or however it works. But somebody is charged to fix that and that. Now, we know with the birth forest, they just dug and dug and dug and cut right through all kinds of lines. So a member of council is on that committee. A member of parks is on that committee. When you dug through your first line, don't you say, oh, I cut through the irrigation, we need to fix this and move over 6 inches? Is the group, the Communities in Blooms that dug through those at the birth forest, are they responsible to pay for that? Now, if I cut through my back alley, you're going to charge me.
Your point taken. Thank you very much. We have to move on here, and I just want to ask any questions we have first of it. Thank you very much. If not, Jesse, could we get your I would just like to use the one thing, comment about the 150 acre feet, how this affects our whole water system.
The 150 acre feet for
Right.
the irrigation use?
Right.
We have a preliminary certificate currently with Alberta Environment that we've indicated our intention to Alberta Environment to use that preliminary certificate. The way it works is you register a preliminary certificate, justify the use for that, and then it gets transferred over to the water license. So we've indicated to Alberta Environment that it's the town's intention to use that 153 acre feet for irrigation. So we in order for that to proceed, we have to justify that use of the 153 acre feet, but we have allocated that to irrigation use. And that does include irrigation of the soccer fields at the ranch, estate or ranch area.
But it takes away from our total usage, doesn't it?
No. So our current total water licensing, we have 1,800 acre feet registered to come off the Bull River through the city of Calgary. And we have 153 acre feet in a preliminary certificate registered with the WID. So the WID preliminary certificate, and we've spoken to the WID regarding this, and that our intentions have been made there as well to continue using that 153 acre feet with the WID, not transfer it to the city, but use that for irrigation purposes.
Thank you.
Under the umbrella of irrigation, though, that you said the soccer field specifically, but is that residential irrigation as well?
No, it's parks, it's residential irrigation, and it's soccer field.
So the town of Strathmore will be using WID water even if they have to pump it out for the parks versus having to use potable water this year?
Not for all parks. It's not possible in all parks. So for instance, in Hillview, there's no pump station in Hillview to draw off the canal, and there's no irrigation system in Hillview. So we have to, a decision was made when that development was created to use potable water to irrigate the parks in the absence of non-potable water. So most of the parks that we're currently irrigating with potable water are in areas that don't have access to non-potable water, like Strathaven, Hillview, Cambridge, Aspen, those types of things.
But if we're allowed to use it in the acre feet, can't we just drop the suction into the canal versus taking it out of the reservoir right here?
We can, yeah, but there wouldn't be a system to tie into.
But it would save it. Well, you truck up and you spray out the water with the potable water, so you'd be able to suck it out and spray it out the exact same. But you'd be saving us $60,000 to $70,000 versus potable water.
Yeah, it's possible.
The second thing
It's
on
a
the
little more arduous from an operations perspective.
On the certificate, though, the former water treatment plant, is there going to be any irrigation water allocated on the certificate for that property?
I'm not sure. We haven't come that far.
Is it going to be a water park?
I guess that question should be directed to council.
I asked council at one previous when they were selling the property if the certificate included that property. So does this? You're the one filling it out for Mr. Randy Prune. Is that property included on the irrigation?
In the absence of an irrigation system on that property, we haven't completed the paperwork with Randy Poon yet or with Alberta Environment, but based on the lack of an irrigation system there, the intention would not be to include that in the preliminary certificate.
Thank you. Any further comments, Jesse?
No, I guess I don't want this to be an administration versus the committee. There's been a lot of comments this evening around information or lack thereof. I do want to kind of defend administration a little bit in that administration has provided answers to a lot of these questions. A lot of information has been given to the committee. the best information that we have. Now, unfortunately, that information may not be exactly what the committee would like to see from administration in a number of cases, but it is the best information that we have relative to the residential irrigation system. And administration, and I speak, I guess, generally for administration, we're not against irrigation. The objective here isn't to shut down the irrigation system. There's no malice in administration's intents here to shut down the irrigation system. And let me finish, please. The intention is really to see more of an investment in the system, and one that we can confidently operate and offer to residents as a service. 2009 is a prime example. We had to refund 50% of the money because the service was so bad. How can we go out and then, I guess, confidently offer that as a service to residents because that expectation is now established? Because what's going to change? We're not investing a significant amount of money in the proposal from the committee. So are we going to be offering that same level of service to residents? In essence, yes, because we're not upgrading the system.
So what do we get for $100? You gave us an ultimatum last year of 180. What do we get this year for 100? Without showing us any raw data what we're going to be doing.
And I guess I will.
It was the only intent to show the sincerity that there's not going to be that many users that want the system. That was the only intent of it.
Yeah, but they said 500 last year at 180, and it came up to this $90,000 mark or something, I believe. Now it's 500 users at $100. What do we get for that $100?
It's only to show the intent, and if there was 500 users, then we'd have a motion by council to activate the system. That was the only intent. That's all. There's many people that got to speak anyway. We're already running by our time here. Okay. This gentleman was up first.
Okay. I just wanted to make a comment. When I had irrigation water and it wasn't there the day I wanted it, and I'd phone in and they'd say, oh, the pump was burnt out. And I think you must have a garage full of pumps that have burnt out, because I was told that so many different times. What I would like to recommend, and I'm taking into account that we'll probably have an irrigation system, is to have somebody who has worked with irrigation kind of manage it, because I think you could save an awful lot of money if you had somebody that knew what they were doing.
Thank you.
Steve, just a comment about Hillview. When we built in Hillview, we were led to believe there was going to be irrigation, and the irrigation line do run in Hillview, but only to the parks. People are not allowed to, we're not allowed to have it, but the irrigation line runs within a foot of our property line. So there is lines up there for irrigation, unless you've taken them out.
Thank you. One more comment? Is there somebody else?
I have to say, I'm at Wheeler Place, and I built in 03, 04, and I was told then, because I begged to hook in, because the line went right past my place, and there was 4 others that wanted to hook in with me, and we would have ran the line right along the park where the line is existing, and we were told then that the line would be, not to be bothered, because the system would shut down in 5 to 7 years. You're right on the screen. So I have to say, I was told I couldn't hook in. It's a Carlon pipe, for Christ's sake. All I had to do is cut it and put a cover in. And I was told no. And there was 4 of us would have been on. So, you know, even at that time, we were discouraged even to try and hook in. And as if you had approached and advanced your systems at that time, you would have had a lot more people on.
Thank you. We're way over time, and I thank you very much, folks. I want you to know that we're going to have a meeting, a prioritization meeting, and as you know, our service roads are in dire repair. We need to spend somewhere between $3 and $4 million to repair our service roads. And we got to prioritize things. I'm not saying no to this. None of us saying no to it. We're going to analyze it. We'll make a decision by the 15th. Is it the 15th to our meeting? And we thank you very much for your time. We understand your plight. We're as concerned as you are. We have to look at the dollars and cents. And we don't know the dollars and cents at this point. I don't know if we'll ever know until we turn it on. Tell us if we get 40 leaks, do we turn it off and fix them, or you know, where's the line? You know, where do we draw the line? Yes.
How can Brooks do it? Their system is...
They have a brand new system, a big part of it. A big part of it. It's brand new.
They upgrade it every year. But
That's,
they still only charge $84.27.
Mrs. Minster, yes, they did, but that is something we didn't do, and that's our, that's past history. I'm sorry, we can't jump to past history.
So we could start now.
Yes, we could, yeah.
We could start now.
Yeah, and I'm not denying that one bit.
Ask him how many they signed up, Brian.
What's that?
I thought I was on the list to speak. You're not going to let me? Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, we are running over our time. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Thank you. I have kind of some random thoughts about this. I'm Brian Coates. I live in downtown North Strathmore. We've operated a business in Strathmore for 30 years downtown. I have some kind of random thoughts. I know you guys know the obvious historical, environmental, and practical uses of irrigation. Okay, there's no problem there, but where I live, water restrictions. The watering time that's in my house, I can use one sprinkler with a 6 to 8 foot diameter. I cannot water my yard in a week under current watering restrictions. While the watering is on during the day for lawns, at my store, I can't use my preservative dispenser, which is dependent upon water pressure. Surely in your budgeting you should think that it's a lot less expensive to deal with an irrigation system than it is to replace a potable water system. Downtown has water pressure issues. Spending priorities could easily be reconsidered. Which is more cost effective? A rose garden grown under mature trees with a regular maintenance crew, or 500 free landscapers to keep your town beautiful? They actually will even pay for you to deliver the water under a user-pay system. Surely the irrigation system is also worth a point on the community in blooms. And you know what? It doesn't have employee benefits. Okay? Like the priorities of making the town beautiful here, you're underestimating the value of irrigation water. People will not use potable water if it's going to cost them more. You need to consider our financial concerns. I know you've had almost no public input about this, so what I've been doing in my business is I ask people who I know live people who are downtown who are passionate gardeners. Do you know why they don't talk to you? They've been so frustrated in the past, they want nothing to do with it. So until you demonstrate that we can have a usable system, they're not going to participate at all in the whole process while you go through this. As a taxpayer, and I'm not a part of this committee, I'm really concerned about what I see about the town and the committee not working together. They seem to have really reasonable, logical processes, but yet they don't feel they're getting the real help from the town. Town seems to think they are, but like somewhere along, you have to get them to communicate better. There has to be an accurate accounting of costs for potable water versus irrigation water so people can make the correct decision for themselves. If it's going to cost me $200 or more a year to use potable water because I like to use a lot of water, guess what? I want irrigation water. But until the customer has the facts, they can't deal with this situation. They don't know what to do. If cost is an issue, why not a local improvement tax? Make us pay for it, no problem. Is the town so in debt or inflexible that we can't borrow this rather minuscule amount of money? Part of the reason we moved to Strathmore was because it was an incredibly beautiful town. Since we moved here, routinely the town now cuts down trees without any hesitation. Mature trees disappear all through the downtown without any hesitation. Landscaping standards are no longer enforced. When my building was rezoned for use, nobody talked one word about landscaping requirements. It's time for you guys to step back, open your minds, look forward with vision, and realize it's about the quality of life for the people who live here. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said, folks, we're sincere about this as you are, and we have to take a long, hard look at it. We really are going to do that again and make a decision. It's a prioritization situation, and we have to look at dollars and cents. As far as Mr. Code, as far as the infrastructure downtown, we cannot turn up the pressure because it is such bad shape, and for you people to turn your water pressure up. It is a very serious problem. And I think potable water, if I may finish, I think potable water is much more a priority than it is irrigation water. I mean, and we have to spend up to $20 million to fix it all. That's how serious that is. Yes.
I just wondered why you paved the streets before you got the water fixed.
We fixed the water where we paved the streets. Downtown, where it is, it's fixed. Yes, and I can guarantee that. I know, I worked there. Anyway, thank you very much, folks. We gotta move on. Thank you for your time.
Would council be willing to take back their pay raises and put into the irrigation system?
Yeah, that's, come on now.
Yes or no?
We're getting less than we were before. See ya.
Yeah, see you in 3 years.
Retrieving the meeting that we're on, item number 6A. Open hearing.
Your Worship, I would move the council set a public hearing for May the 4th, 2011 at 7:30 p.m. with procedures in accordance with Council Procedure Bylaw 0711 and amendments thereto.
All heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Uh, 6B, page 64. We got some comment from Tammy.
Would you like me to comment?
Yes.
Every year, the town reviews its off-site levy bylaw to keep up with the actual costs of the infrastructure and whatnot. The massive amount of documentation that you have in front of you. There is actually one amendment that needs to be done on the bylaw, and that is and it's page 3 of the bylaw. Noted as 302, we need to add E5 except where council determines. Basically, we've had 5 special area assessments. Last year it was 4, so inadvertently we missed the extra one. But otherwise than that, the off-site levies are pretty consistent with the values of last year. The percentages actually for residential only increased by 1%. The methodology by which I did that was to determine how much off-site levies were in addition to adding the special area assessments. And then I compared it to 2010. So it actually increased only by 1%. The the commercial and industrial actually went down by a couple of percent. Again, very rough estimates because of the fact that now we have 5 special area assessments versus 4 from last year. So again, like I said, we're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. So that's why I sort of caution you on that. I will provide you a copy of the amendment. Again, it's only just the addition of that extra map, but all the other information is the same.
Any questions of Tammy first? If not, I would entertain a first reading on this bylaw.
I'll make a motion that council give first reading to bylaw number 11-04.
The amendment was made.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Looking for, first, you do an amendment first, and
Call second reading and then do the amendment.
on for second reading on bylaw number 11-04.
I move that council give second reading to bylaw 11-04.
Any discussion?
For the amending motion to add Schedule E5.
First on all in favor?
Is it before?
Before.
Yeah. I would also move that the words "and E5" be added to line 3 of section 302 after E4.
With the correction, and any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Carried. And that's with the amendment?
That's the amendment?
Okay, no. All in favor of the second reading with the amendment?
Your worship, I would move that council give unanimous consent for third and final reading of bylaws 11-04.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
And I would also move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 11-04.
You all heard the motion? Carried. None opposed. Bylaw, or 6C, page 115. Any questions of the administration? Please we'll give second reading first.
I move the council give second reading to bylaw number 11-07.
Any questions of administration? If not, all in favor?
Your worship.
Yes.
I guess I do have one question.
Point of order, your worship. This has been voted on and we are now past that point.
Whatever.
Is the question, well, the question is not, if nothing else, what is your concern?
Well, I had understood that there was a change in the way that this money would be borrowed.
Is there?
I'm not sure what you're speaking of now.
Is this going to be just as a loan? Disregard, I'll just withdraw that.
Thank you. I would entertain a third reading for bylaw number 11-07.
I'll make that motion that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 11-07.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Bylaw 1109, RN1, municipal land use bylaw number 8920. I'm asking council to consider second reading.
Your worship, I move that council give second reading to bylaw number 11-09.
All heard the motion, all in favor? Any discussion? Not carried. Tammy, do you want to speak to this?
Sorry, there was a recommendation to amend the bylaw. With those two additional items of renumbering subsection 4 due to the deletion of subsection 4A.
So that has to be in the second motion. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Worship.
So what do we do now?
Do an amending motion and question the second reading.
We amend the motion.
I would move the council amend bylaw 1109 by adding number 2, deleting 4A site area. The minimized site area shall be 3.66 square meters, provided that each phase of subdivision meets the minimum requirements. And point 1, average lot size for all R1N lots within the phase of subdivision must be a minimum of 410 meters. Number 2, corner lots shall be a minimum of 408 square meters. And also by adding number 3, amending subsections as stated in the information package.
Thank you. You all heard the motion. in favor? Carried.
And I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 11-09.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaw 60, bylaw number 11-10, subdivision officer authority. Background from administration? Any?
Not really, the background was presented at the public hearing.
Okay, and no comments, no further.
No.
Thank you.
I move that council give second reading to bylaw number 11-10.
You all heard the motion, any discussion?
Yes, Your Worship, I have a question actually. Will this create a situation where council will not be seeing plans for subdivision, where they would previously have seen it?
For some of them, yes.
And which ones? Are we talking size, difference in size?
No. Actually, the ones that likely would not come to you is, let's say, for the P1 district, where currently council has to approve everything, including permitted uses for development permits. So those would not come to you. But again, the concept or the theory behind this has to do more so with setting a threshold of 10 lots, as well as leaving the consistency of if there is an area structure plan, because the subdivision authority can already approve those subdivisions. So that has not been removed. So the main difference is the threshold of lots, because right now, it's logically it doesn't really make sense, like I said, because you can't subdivide, the subdivision officer cannot subdivide an existing industrial lot into two, which I think overall is a very less complex type of subdivision versus something that already has an area structure plan.
I guess my only state of point of confusion comes in. Originally, we would have seen the area structure plan.
Oh, you will continue to see the area structure plan through the bylaw process.
Okay.
And at this point in time, you will receive the information regarding any of the subdivisions, and you, as council,
by report.
Right, and as council, you would not even be the approving authority, so that has not changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have some further discussion. Questions? We're all in favor of the motion? Yeah. Carried.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 11-10.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Six F, bylaw number 11-12. 129. Looking for a first reading?
Your worship, I move that council give first reading to bylaw number 11-12.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried.
Move the council refer bylaw 11-12 to the public hearing scheduled for May 4th, 2011.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. There's no old business. 7A, request for reduction of $535 for utility account number 2741, page 135.
Your worship, this item was brought to council on March 2nd. Council had asked for further information, and the information that was asked for was the average of the water usage, and it appears in the agenda item, which is 10.5 cubes per month.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
The information that was asked by council to be brought forward was the average water usage by this customer. And the average usage was 10.5 cubes of water per month over the last 2 years.
Which is consistent with Bill. Are you, is that what you're saying?
No.
No.
The
Bill is 178.
The bill was significantly higher for the May-June time period and also the July-August time period.
So Your Worship, if I may, it's obvious that this bill came as a result. It's alleged that it came as a result of a leak in the infrastructure. Is that fair to?
I would not make that assumption.
Okay.
No.
Or it was a faulty meter.
There was no testing on that meter. The meter was replaced, and the meter was not sent for testing.
Do we still have that meter?
No, we do not. It was returned with other meters that are replaced to the supplier.
But this was the one that the pipes broke first.
Apparently there was.
There was an allegation of that at any rate.
Yes, but it was the pipes broke. The individual said prior to the meter or
Correct.
before the meter.
Yes.
So the water usage is metered subsequent or after the break, apparently. That's the information supplied by the customer.
Yeah, but if it broke before, there's no way of metering, so that has really nothing to do with it all.
That's correct.
So take that out of the equation.
Yes.
So all we know is what the meter read, which read these figures.
That's right.
So what happens prior to is nothing. Well,
that's correct.
My thoughts are, if it's wrong, it's wrong. We can't prove it any differently. I just don't want to set a precedent on this.
Well, if we waive the bill or give a reduction, we would be setting a precedent.
How can that meter jump
Exactly.
from an average of 10.5 cubic meters per month up to 178 cubic meters?
The billing period is for a time of year where lots of watering could occur.
That's about 18 times the normal.
Unforeseeable.
You know, I don't believe we're setting a precedent here. If we can't support the fact that the meter was working properly or not properly, that we didn't test it, then I'm going to take this person at his word and feel that that it was a faulty meter. I mean, there's nothing here that says it's not, and I'm going to move that we reduce the utility count by $535.
You all heard the motion. Any further discussion? Questions?
Your Worship?
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, I would definitely agree the customer should have had all the lines inspected on the premises, reading the letter, to in fact see if there was a possible leak before or after the meter. Reading the letter, apparently the meter was lost, so there was no means of even getting any proof out of it, whether it was correct or faulty. And I tend to agree with Councillor Sobel. Under the bizarre situation here, I suggest we reduce her utility count accordingly and prorate it to the average usage she was doing on before.
Thank you. Councillor Best?
I was just going to say I'm in full accordance with my fellow councillors. I cannot see how we can possibly go 18 or 17 times over the course of a 2-month period to for someone to jump that high in their water usage, and because of that, I would also agree that we should be reviewing.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton.
No, I agree as well. If we don't have the meter to back us up.
I also agree, but I would certainly make a strong recommendation to administration to recommend to the workers that we keep all meters from here on in, regardless. That is, you know, are we doing it, or?
If we run into a situation, similar situation, well, I don't.
Are we keeping all meters from here on in?
We have not, but,
Your Worship, I don't know that we need to keep them, but I certainly think that when we bring them in, we need to test them.
What if this problem comes up again?
we do not test them in-house. They would be sent out for testing.
So that costs money.
That's correct.
So if we kept them for up to 6 months or a year, so that this problem doesn't arise, you know, at least we'll be able to go to that meter and say, hey.
Your Worship, should we not be focusing on meters that are replaced because they're alleged to be faulty? I mean, I don't think, how many do we do those where people are phoning us and saying our meter's broken? We do a lot of those.
We have a program in place to replace old meters currently.
Right.
And
but I'm not talking about those.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about those that arise as a result of a complaint that they're working improperly.
Those are the ones I'm asking to keep in case this problem arises. Right. Only those.
It would be very few.
Yeah. Well, then let's keep those so that we know.
Or have them tested.
Yeah, have them tested. No, I wouldn't test them until the problem arises.
Yeah.
It costs money. But I'm asking that those be kept.
Yes.
Okay. You all heard the motion? All in favor? Carried. Now we have a hard time. Not a very big one, apparently. 8A. Development permit renovations of Sacred Heart Academy.
Your Worship, I promise you, this is the last you'll see of me tonight.
American Guardian. I'm joking.
This development permit is a permitted use. However, under our land use bylaw 8920, section 18, subsection 1, all permitted uses in the public services district must be approved by council. Permitted uses cannot be appealed regardless of the designated approving authority unless there's an obvious misinterpretation of the land use bylaw. That's the reason why there was the first reading for bylaw 1112. Basically all it is that it's in addition to the school, and as I mentioned, it is a permitted use. So as a result, the recommendation is approval of development permit 11/10-022 with conditions as per the staff report.
Thank you. Any questions of the administration?
I move that you approve development permit 11-/D-022 with 6 conditions as per the staff report.
Y'all heard the motion.
Is that a D or is that a 10?
It's a D.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, y'all heard the motion. Carried? All in favor? Carried. Ahead of myself. 8B, 147. Oh, we're getting tired of you too.
Last item.
Good evening, Your Worship. The property tax arrears agreement, this particular landowner has fallen behind in taxes. The amount is $11,000 and some dollars. An agreement has been worked out. The owner has made payment of $6,000, and on page 150 there is a schedule of payments, additional penalties over the time period, with payment to be completed by December 15th, 2012.
Is this legal under the MGA?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. You all heard the recommendation. Any questions?
make a motion that council approve the property tax arrears agreement between the town of Strathmore and the landowner of lot 15, Block 6, Plan 9611448, and that the mayor and chief administration officer be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the town.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Eight C.
A new guy.
Thank God.
My name is not Tammy or Mel. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Just as an update, the Flames are beating the Oilers 3-0.
First thing we heard tonight.
Yeah.
That's not very good information. I want that. Strathmore record.
Ridge Road. With the approaching, well, spring somewhat upon us, you never know it outside, but with spring somewhat upon us and the frost coming out of the ground, Ridge Road along Trans-Canada Highway between basically Highway 817 and Lakeside Boulevard has exploded on us from a pothole and almost complete disintegration of asphalt. In 2011, our capital projects do not include work on Ridge Road. We did some patchwork on Ridge Road last year as part of our street improvements program in front of the Shell station, basically from the stop sign at the Shell to the Smiley's sign along Ridge Road there. That has held up actually fairly well. So it's there's some optimism associated with what we've been able to do there. But the disintegration of that roadway is largely due to water ingress or entering into the subbase of the road, basically then pushing the asphalt out, and also due to heavy truck traffic. We have a number of significant vehicles that use that roadway as an access to the Husky gas station as well as to the various restaurants in that area. So there was a preliminary report that was performed back in 2009 when there was consideration given to upgrading Ridge Road, and that was basically to the tune of approximately $3 million for a complete upgrade to the road subbase, the drainage system being implemented, as well as a replacement of the underground utilities in there, because the water pipes and some sewer lines need replacement as well, or are due for kind of a life cycling replacement based on their age. So what I'm here this evening is, and through discussion with council, is to basically discuss our go-forward plan for Ridge Road in 2011, acknowledging that as the entrance to this town, aesthetically, in its current state, it's definitely not an ideal situation, and a challenge kind of given to us from Mother Nature this year.
Thank you. Questions from council?
Well, Your Worship, I asked that this matter be brought forth because we're in big trouble here with that road. That's in really bad shape, and it's worse than I've ever seen it. And I was, well, one of the things I'd like to say is I don't recommend any more patching of that road. I think if we're going to do anything, we have to have a replacement job. And I know that there are some efforts afoot to try to get some other funding for this project, but certainly I'd like to see some hard figures go in regards to the exact location where we could, because I don't think we have to do that whole area. I think we could start right around the curve at the station and proceed to the East Lake. I think that would be, so if we could whittle that down, I'd like to see the number of that and continue on our efforts to get some funding for this.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Beth?
Your Worship, I absolutely agree with Councillor Sobel on this. And the fact is that in the 3 terms that I've been on council, I can think of very few things where I've had more people come to me and talk about the shape of this road. It's a situation that where it represents our town, running along beside the Trans-Canada Highway. It's one of the first areas that people do come into our town if they're coming from the east. And I think that with the deplorable shape that it's in, that we really need to look hard to be able to come up with the money to make this happen.
Thank you. Councillor Rocky?
I have nothing, Worship.
Councillor Hamilton?
I agree with both Councillor Best and Councillor Stoll. We've got to find some money somewhere for you to do the province, and I know you've made efforts in several calamities, so.
I do want to mention that for the record. I did talk to Arnold Dirksen, told him that this is an emergency, it must be emergency funding available. He is checking into it. I told him the cost. The other thing he was going to ask is that, is it required that we get more than one estimate?
For construction?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I thought.
yes.
So this is just kind of a guesstimate.
This is just for budget purposes, and I guess really what it's asked, what I'm asking this evening is for the ability to proceed with this project and get a budget estimate for council to create a project, a capital project in 2011 for this road work. And in the meantime, determine potentially what available grant money or funding could be available from the province or otherwise.
So you need a motion?
No, I think
Just some direction.
Yeah, just direction.
Just direction? Okay. Okay.
What I'll do is I'll bring back a budget for a capital project to be approved as a capital project.
Thank you very much. It looks like you got the direction.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
8D. Oh, someone new again. Thank you.
Evening, Your Worship, Council. Policy 1303 is the hourly, part-time, and casual seasonal wage grid. This is a living document that requires amendment from time to time. The major amendments before Council tonight include the following. Under the hourly wage grid, there's a title change from senior lifeguard to senior head guard. The addition of a lifeguard instructor to the hourly wage grid, and this position was approved in the 2011 budget to accommodate staffing for the new phases of the aquatic center. Under the part-time wage grid, remove number 1 from the head lifeguard title. Remove head lifeguard number 2 and lifeguard only from the grid. Remove the words for a maximum of 2,000 reads per month from the meter reader grid. Under the casual seasonal grid, remove the following redundant positions from the grid. And just for your information, these positions were in the policy from the time that we had the outdoor swimming pool. So it's long overdue for an update. So the following positions would be removed: fitness instructor, head lifeguard number 1, head lifeguard number 2, instructor, instructor lifeguard, and lifeguard instructor. And administration is requesting approval from council for policy number 1303 as amended.
How did the meter reader grid get mixed up with lifeguards?
Your Worship, it's not mixed up with the lifeguards. It's just it's in the part-time wage grid as a separate. We have a number of part-time positions, and one of the positions is the meter reader.
It just happened to be in that bylaw.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further questions from council?
Your Worship, I would move the council approve policy 1303 as amended.
You all heard the motion. Any further questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. E, policy 1805, page 162.
Worship, policy 1805 is the MasterCard policy and it has not been updated since 2007. The major amendments to the policy include a number of textual amendments to reflect current roles and responsibilities, to change or add in new staff positions, delete redundant positions, and to increase credit card limits for staff who use their MasterCards for town purchases, business travel, and other situations where a credit card is required. And the policy is in your package.
Your Worship, I Move that council approve policy number 1805 as amended.
Y'all heard the motion, any questions? This doesn't mean anybody can go to Vegas or anything, does it? Thank you. Yeah, just me, by the looks of it. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
8F.
I'd move that the council accept this as information.
What, I just may ask, what is the Heraldry project? I don't know. Oh, okay, sorry for being so naive.
You're Scottish, you know.
I probably. Y'all heard the motion? All in favor? No questions? Carried. Eight G 171.
First, I move that council accept this as information and deal directly with the literacy awards group if they have anyone they wish to recommend.
We had to put our post office boxes in the right place before we get this done. I got some serious phone calls on that. Anyway, y'all heard the motion. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. 8H.
Your Worship, I would move that council proclaim April the 28th, 2011 as a day of mourning in honor of the memory of those who have been injured or killed on the job, and fly a flag at half-mast.
You all heard the motion. If there's no further questions, discussion, all in favor? Carried. 8I, Boys and Girls Club.
Worship, it's nice to get a thank you from a group, and I move that we accept that thank you letter from the Boys and Girls Club regarding day camp tourism.
Thank you. It is nice. We don't get many bouquets. At least not brought forward to council. You heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. No further administration, committee and firm reports. 9/11. Questions from Councillor Hamilton. Or did I miss something? Oh, we do have committee. Sorry. I thought maybe we'd get by that. Page 183 for those people. Economic Development, Dwight Sanders not here. Strathmore Municipal Library and Marigold Library, Councillor Fuel is not here. Wadem's Councillor Hamilton, Councillor Wilson.
March 17th, 2011, Wadem's Union Negotiations were held at the county office. The union gave their proposal, which was accepted by Wadem's for study. March 25th, the Wadem's and the union met once again, at which time Wadem's made a counter proposal to the unions. They accepted for study and will determine a response in the near future. April 4th, 2011, Wadem's monthly meeting was held at the county office. Normal business was discussed.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Hamilton, if not, happy gang, Councillor Best.
Your Worship, I was unable to attend that meeting, and you graciously attended for me.
They were very happy I was there and explained basically what was going on around town, and there was no questions from them other than the fact they commented about several things that we're doing, and tried to answer them to the best of my abilities. I don't have the questions here, but I respectfully answered them and appreciated it and thanked them for having me. WFCSS.
Your Worship, I was called to Calgary that night. However, Councillor Rempel did attend, and unfortunately he's not here this night to give that report.
We've on housing. Councillor Best.
I was at the meeting, we were going over budget. I was called away early, and Councillor Fuel had mentioned that he would give the report on this.
Thank you. Handy bus, Councillor Bluntland.
Your Worship, was a meeting March 29th, presentation by Marty, the owner of the taxi service in town here. He gave his presentation with regards to the cost of privatization operation through his company as compared to a town operation. The numbers presented unofficially showed the town could save approximately $100,000. Quite a bit of discussion after Marty left if whether the time, care, and service would be the same as what indeed the Handy Bus Association offers now. 2010, the Handy Bus Association operated at a deficit of approximately $40,000. Projections for 2011 look to hopefully, possibly, maybe breaking even if there is increased donations on board. The push is on for corporate donations by the board. Just recently, the Strathmore Lions donated $25,000. And Canada seems to be on board doing something. The board is working within itself hard to cut costs by running less buses for one thing, looking at internal costs, better use of drivers, especially the part-time drivers. Part of the problem is we get a call out and according to Alberta standards, labor standards, you got to pay these people for 3 hours. There's a casino coming up sometime this month. I don't have the exact date. They need some more volunteers to raise some money. We can raise about $35,000-40,000 on that. And just a footnote on the whole thing here. Councillor Bob and myself and Linda attended the county town partnership meeting last night with the intent, as far as the Handy Bus Association, trying to get more financial contributions from the county. That pretty well fell on flat ears. Their comeback was their inspections on the 7 buses. They have valued at approximately $15,000 for the year, which all 3 of us felt was way out of line. They did give us a $10,000 contribution. Mind you, half of that was from last year. And I don't think they kicked anything in the year before that. I did have a chance today, unofficially, I got one quote from one business in town that does do commercial inspections. It's quite interesting. They can do the inspections on these 7 buses, and we're looking at an approximate cost of $4,000 a year. So I don't know where the county gets their $15,000, which is what they're using. The $15,000 is what they're using as their contribution towards the Handy Bus.
Thank you. I just want to comment that I certainly want to say that the Handy Bus is a tremendous service. We're not trying to get rid of it or anything. We just want to look and indulge into the cost of running it and make it run more efficiently. And all due respect, Councillor, we must watch how we phrase this because you don't know if it fell on deaf ears because we're trying to mend things with the county. Let's be somewhat more understanding of both sides. And I'm not trying to scold you or anything. It's just that I really want to work well with the council.
Spector's birthday.
Sorry. Anyway, thank you. Any questions? If not, Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Hamilton.
March 21st, 2011, the Chamber of Commerce AGM was held at the Travel Lodge with a good turnout. Unfortunately, the mayor was under the weather and couldn't attend. Several new members of the board were accepted and new officers were elected.
Some days I just don't like you. The Agricultural Society, Councillor Fuel's not here. Family Center Advisory Committee, Councillor Sobel.
Which one, sir?
Family Center Advisory Committee.
Sorry, the regular scheduled meeting for March was canceled, Your Worship.
Thank you. Committee Futures, Wild Rose, Councillor Best.
Your Worship, we had a budget meeting, and at that meeting also it was discussed whether the employment creation program that they have would be being placed to a different company. Subsequently, that has happened, and we will be discussing that tomorrow night.
Thank you. Communities in Bloom, Councillor Hamilton.
April 5th, 2011, Communities in Bloom monthly meeting was held at town office with numerous items being discussed, and perhaps I could cover off number 11, if that's...
Sure.
Okay. At the time, it was discussed that maybe I could bring it up in open council that Communities in Bloom is looking for sponsorship. If anybody wants to buy a park bench or a bench for the community in celebration of our centennial. And also, the birth forest will be planting trees, flowers, etc. on May 14th, and we're looking for volunteers. I bring this up now so that the press can get it out in the paper, and hopefully we'll get some volunteers.
Thank you. Kinsman Park. Kinsman Lake, I'm sorry.
No meeting.
Thank you. Names Advisory Committee, Councillor...
There was no meeting.
Bow River Council, Councillor Blockman.
That's fine. On March 9th, 2011, Bow River Council was held their quarterly meeting at Strathmore in Calgary, the Transalta building in Calgary. It was well attended and many initiatives were discussed. Some were way over my head and it was informative, but I'll be going to the next quarterly meeting.
Thank you. United Way, again, I'd asked administration last time to change these around. What was the, could you please do that for next time? And it's Councillor Rocky on United Way.
Your Worship, I was unable to attend the last meeting. I did have a chance to talk to Joyce this week. She's our chairperson. We're in the process, I believe, in April here, ready to disperse funds to various agencies. I see Joyce is here. Can you help me out here?
I wasn't expecting to, no. Anyway, what did you want?
Well, I wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't have all the info.
Okay. I understand from Linda that the checks from her, the Prairie Merchant donation are ready to be picked up and handed out. We have a funding committee meeting is on April 19th, and that's to look at the applications that are now being processed and brought in for agencies that want funding. And there's approximately $53,000 that we'll be looking at for that. On May 5th, we'll be having presentations from those agencies. And then again on May 12th is our next regular meeting. Rocky, if you want to write that one down, please.
I got it.
And we'll be making the final decision on that. And then Rocky will be presenting it to council for your okay as for the donation. So I'm looking forward to that. It's moving along rather well, actually.
Thank you very much. I want to commend the United Way Committee for holding this together. It was pretty rocky there for a while, and I really want to thank you very much for all you folks gluing this thing back together. I think you do tremendous work in the community.
Thank you.
Calgary Regional Partnership, I brought along Councillor Silva and Councillor Hamilton to write no notes for me, and I'm sure they would have.
I would defer to
Well, I'll tell you what, while we're on the Calgary Regional Partnership, I'll talk about transportation. Tammy Henry, Director of Planning, and I attended the transition to a new transit service model in the Calgary region workshop on March 15th in Cochrane. A number of representatives from private transportation companies were present, and it certainly appears hopeful that there can be some significant cooperation between them and our transportation concepts. It's also a great opportunity to interact with municipalities and who have already gone through the transit feasibility study process. Enough information was obtained that will enable Ms. Henry to prepare a request for a proposal from at least 3 different firms in order to get the best possible deal for our own study in this town.
Thank you.
And I don't have anything on the
other issue.
Executive.
The executive meeting was held in Airdrie and early in the morning, far too early for me. But anyway, one of the big issues that was brought up, and it's a concern that we have to watch how we vote on. And there was a couple of mayors there that have this transmission line issue that's being put in their back door, and they're kind of trying to lead us into fighting this transmission line that's being installed. It's the same old story. They want it in their back door with other comments to it. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, if we vote for them not having it in their back door, which is going through the west between the mountains and Airdrie and Carstairs and all along there, it might come in our back door. So I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote for that to be changed at all. Don't worry. But that is a big issue right now. So I am aware of that. What the game is being played there. Thank you. SWAT, Councillor Sobel.
The SWAT group met on March 2nd. SWAT was also present for the high school anti-bullying event, for which the group also donated some funds to promote. Continuing efforts are being made to start a positive ticketing program, which we hope to have ready and operational by this summer.
Thank you. Citizens on Patrol, Councillor Hamilton.
March 10th, 2011, the Citizens on Patrol meeting was held at the town office. The general discussion was held with various reports given. Nothing of anything or any earth-shattering was given.
Thank you. We had Irrigation Committee, Councillor Rempel is not here, but we had a very interesting discussion tonight with the public, which will be taken into consideration, obviously. Financial Audit Committee, please, we can't hear it here. Financial Audit Committee, of course, the Audit Committee was presented their report to us tonight and was approved by Council, and you all are here to hear that. Centennial Day Time Capsule Committee, Councillor Silver, Councillor Wolfman.
Your Worship, Centennial Committee meeting April 4th, Legacy Park, as it's temporarily referred to right at the moment, is ready to start any day as soon as the weather improves. Dennis is ready to go with it, again, depending on weather conditions. He's in the process of ordering supplies. The committee decided to place the capsule in a pedestal underneath the clock. There was some discussion involved of selling stamped bricks and the price on them only if time permits, if we can get this ready by July 2nd. The committee decided on a park name, Heritage Times Squared, which has been forwarded to the Names Advisory Committee for approval. The clock face was revealed. It's a very nice looking face on the clock. Financial report was given by Linda. We seem to be within budget so far. What else we got here? We talked about the clock chimes. We figured it'd be a nice addition to the clock if we had chimes on it. These chimes only make a racket once a day at 12 o'clock, I guess, eh?
Is it racket or is it night time? The whistle.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This time capsule, I hope it's going to design that we don't have to take up the whole book.
Well, the problem with the time capsule is the chairperson in charge of the time capsule has missed about 6 meetings in a row, and we have to make some decisions without him being there.
No, what I'm trying to say is that hopefully you don't have to destroy the whole block where the clock is sitting on to get the capsule on 25 years.
Nope.
I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but you know.
July 2nd and 3rd, entertainment's basically all lined up. Food services are going underway, and that's basically about it.
Thank you.
How's the rest of it?
We don't have a museum committee or a winter games.
I've got the third part of that, Your Worship, which is the Fall Gala.
I'm sorry.
That's fine, no problem.
I didn't see you there.
The Fall Gala committee has met twice, and we've got 5 subcommittees in the areas of invitations, entertainment, decorations, protocol, and food and beverage. The following items have been resolved. The gala is to be referred to as the Strathmore Centennial Fall Gala. It's to take place on October 15, 2011. The dress for the gala will be formal attire, please, period, dress welcome. The event will take place at the Civic Center. There will be 350 tickets available for sale, and there will be a head table. Who will be sitting there, I don't know yet. Tickets will go on sale on August 10th, 2011. The cost for the tickets will be $75 per person. A budget for the gala has been developed, and the committee is determined to ensure this will be a break-even event. Web program is being developed, which will afford patrons the opportunity to purchase their tickets and choose their tables via the internet on the Town of Strathmore website. There will also be an opportunity to purchase tickets at the town office in person. Finally, it's in the intent of the committee to identify and personally invite any centenarians, that's people who are 100 years old or older, and their significant others who reside in Strathmore to this event free of charge. They will be our special guests of honor.
I was also reminded, I just recalled it, asked by the Agricultural Society that this is our 100 years, anybody in special that we may think of that they would like to honor during Heritage Days. So, could you bring that to the committee? Somebody that would be, I guess, agriculture, horse, rodeo orientated, that's done a lot in the community. So if the committee could consider that, okay? Bring it forward to me and I bring it to them.
I'm not sure where I'm supposed to get that from, Your Worship. Should that not be something that if they want to honor somebody, like I'm having enough trouble. Like I haven't identified anybody for this yet. And it's something we still have to do, but it may take us quite a while to identify who we can invite for this.
Okay, I have some people's thoughts in mind. If I just want maybe the committee would want to make some recommendations, just that it's out there. Yes.
Question, Steve. What about families who have been here for?
It could be a family. Yes, that's one of the thoughts. Yeah.
Like for instance, I'm fourth generation here since 1909, but my address is Strathmore, but I don't live right in the town of Strathmore. But my grandparents did. They're probably the ones who had their first 60th wedding anniversary here in Strathmore.
I don't want to have to make the decision myself.
Yeah, I know, but I was just saying, I just wondered if that was.
It's going to be something like and no disrespect to your comment, it's going to be something like the streets being named after certain families, and then.
Oh, I'm against that anyway.
You know, but that's what we get into, you know.
I know.
You know, I've been here longer than them, and then it becomes a real challenge to pick
No,
up.
but I'm just thinking about those families for the gala or whatever, like, you know.
Anyway, I would like to, I don't want to handle that alone, so I want a recommendation from somebody about how to handle it.
Did you say how to committee?
Can I direct this to the committee? Is that okay? Thank you very much.
Is that you, Mike?
Yeah, that's Mike, yeah. So the agriculture, just to cut it clear, somebody who is agriculture orientated, who's been here a long time, can be a family or company or anything you'd like.
We'll get in touch with Darcy and see what format they want, what they're looking for, and then we'll figure out a way to come up with something for them that would work for Heritage Days.
Thank you. Yeah. And they're going to be given about 5 minutes apparently.
They're going to be given 5 minutes?
Yeah, on the grounds, you know, to present.
You should let them have the whole day.
Actually, it's Pascal Del Grescio, and he'll have that discussion with them, okay? Thank you. So I'll leave it in your hands. No other committee reports? Somebody move.
I'll move acceptance of the committee reports, Your Worship.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Look, I thought I could get away with that one, but it didn't. Councillor Hamilton, that was it? Covered that?
Covered that already.
Thank you.
I also have a question for administration, Your Worship. Some time ago, a letter was received from the Health Minister's office, which seemed to indicate cost for a hospital addition was forthcoming. My question is whether or not we've received any updates in regards to that apparent announcement.
Nothing, Your Worship. We've received nothing.
Your Worship, this causes me concern that we hear nothing about this. I'm not sure if what council thinks of this, but I'd like to pursue this with some further inquiries and perhaps of our MLA as to what the standing of this announcement is, whether it's a legitimate announcement, whether we're getting any money for our hospital extension. They tell us that we're getting these millions of dollars to get it. When is the money coming, and when do we start building our extension that they promised us?
I don't mean to protect them or anything. I had a meeting with Arno, and he had assured me that the notice would be coming within 30 days.
Your Worship, they assured us that 3.5 years ago.
Well, I can't make any more comments than that. That's what he assured me. I don't. What do you want, a letter to go to him, or what do you want?
Yep. But I support some correspondence. Not apparently the correspondence doesn't really mean very much anyway. But you know, I really do believe that we have to keep on them at this, because it's one of these things that if it's the squeaky wheel syndrome, perhaps
We can invite him to the next meeting.
Whatever. I just want to get this going already.
Yeah.
I mean, 3.5 years ago, our premier and our,
Yeah, we know that.
our future MLA stood in front of us and told us that this was going to happen.
Anyway, other than the fact he assured me, but I guess publicly, maybe we could request that he comes before us and shortly, or send him a letter again. Administration, recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marigold, 12A, Marigold, notice of annual general meeting, 184. I will be attending that meeting. Yes, I will be. It's a free meal if you want to come.
Who are you asking?
You. Yeah, we're in for Raleigh.
Pat will be there as well.
Pat will, yeah.
Yeah.
Council Field.
This is, again, for, other than the fact I'm going to be there, so, anything other further? Thank you. B, 186.
We need a motion on that last.
Oh, sorry.
I'll make that motion that the Mayor Graychuck and Council Fuel attend the Marigold Library Board Annual General Meeting held on April 19th, 2011, 5 p.m.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I would like administration to tell me what's the Gaining Ground Conference all about in short form.
Save a tree.
Is it mainly save a tree?
It's to intensify the case for green value and social safety and well-being.
I would love to attend, but I don't think we have any money in the budget.
I move that we accept this for information purposes.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried.
Are we in 12C, Your Worship?
Pardon me?
Are we in 12C?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I move that we accept this for information purposes only.
Y'all heard the motion? Carried. 12D. ASCO Community Symposium, 196.
I move that we accept this for information purposes only.
Y'all heard the motion? Any questions? If not, all in favor? Carried. Motion for adjournment? All in favor? Carried.